think it's impossible to live off of 28% of your income? Keep watching so I can show you exactly how I do it. In this lesson, I'll be taking you behind the scenes to show you how I personally develop my budgets and plan out my money each and every week. Want to know how I survive and caregive off of a $1,500 paycheck? Shh, come closer. Come budget with me. Live. Let's go. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. All right. I am Sophia Melone, the Debt Demolisher, and welcome to the Debt Demolisher TV, where we make debt freedom the new norm and wealth building the natural nature of habit. A lot of times people feel like it is so impossible to live off of a small salary or live off of a small paycheck, but I'm here to share with you and show you exactly how I live off of 28% of my income, and I've been doing it for so long while managing 2 households as I caregive for my mom. So each and every week, one of my strategies is I make sure that I sit down and go over my numbers every Saturday morning, because it helps keep me in alignment with what needs to be paid, what shouldn't be paid, what can be postponed, and then most importantly, how much do I need to be paying myself. So what I want to do is take you behind the scenes so that you can see the process that I take to build out my budgets, to hold my weekly money meetings so that I can have my financial sketch cleared out each and every month, each and every week, each and every quarter, each and every year. It's an easy process as long as you've built in the practice of doing it. So a lot of times we can talk about things, but it may just be better to show you. So I am going to expose my process, expose my numbers, and allow you to see exactly what I do each and every week to plan out my numbers. All right. So as you can see, I've opened up my personal budget outline, and I want to show you exactly what I do each and every week. My process is a simple 6-step process that really allows you to plan out your numbers effectively. So the first step in my budgeting process is to really go through and see, okay, what needs to be paid out of this check. So one of the things that I always like to have is a full expense listing, and this expense listing is color coded. So I'm a color coded type of person, and it helps me quickly define what should be paid out of check 1, what should be paid out of check 2. So one of the things that I have here is everything that I pay, when it's due, and the category in which it falls. And this is another process. I need this information for another process that I do that's related to my monthly budget review. However, when we're doing this on a week-to-week basis, I like to have my full list of expenses listed and viewable for me to be able to pull it to see when the due date is for that respective bill, what category it would typically fall under, and whether it's an essential item, an asset, or a non-essential item, or if it's related to my readiness reserve. So in looking at my full list of expenses, this is telling me exactly what I need to focus on and what should be paid. So because we're at the top of the month, I want to make sure that I'm filtering on everything that needs to be paid out of the first check or the first half of the month. So I will filter on everything that's highlighted in green, and this is what I will use to populate my budget. Now, I also have a category that assigns it to both. If it's something that's paid in the first half of the month, or if it's something that needs to be paid in the second half of the month. So I want to show you what that looks like. So what that looks like, each and every time I'm paid, I am making sure that I am paying my tithes and I'm giving to charity, that I'm paying myself, that I am putting some self-care practices aside for me, and that I'm also catching anything that needs to be paid on a as paid basis, like my lawn services. So I'm making sure that these things will be captured in my budget as well. So these will be included, and then also everything that is in green will be included on my list. So before I jump into identifying everything that I need to make sure that's included in my list, my next step is to review my last week's budget outline to see if there was anything that I had not necessarily paid yet. As you can see with my process, I have it set so that once something is paid, it will scratch off the list. So these are a few things that may have been paid on my credit card, but I have not reduced that amount from my checking account. So what I want to do is look at these to see, okay, what has not come out of my checking account just yet or my expense account just yet, and versus what I need to actually make a manual payment for. So these 3 bills, or these 4, are actually on auto pay. So these won't come out until it hits these due dates. But these charges down here were actually charges that were auto paid on my credit card. And so because these dates have already occurred, what I want to do is go in and make a payment on my credit card for this amount. So that means I need to go in and make a payment on my credit card for anything from the last paycheck outline that I did that has not been deducted. So I will go into my bank account, make this payment for $268.17, and then that will allow me to check off all of these boxes. So let's do that. All right, so I made my payment on my credit card. So that shows that that has been tied up for $268.97. So now I can go back to my budget and clear all of these off because it has been reduced from my paycheck. All right. And so the next ones that are set for auto pay, I'll just check these and update these as they're actually drafted from my account. So now we can go into developing the budget for today. Now with this one, we want to make sure that the balance that we're carrying forward agrees to the bank account balance that you have in your account. I'm not going to check this off until I can confirm that everything has been drafted from my account and it rolls over properly. All right, so now we can go into populating the budget for this pay period, the first half of the month. So you want to make sure that your income that's coming in is populated in your income section, whatever sources of income that you have, whether if it is your net paycheck, whether if it's cash rewards that you receive, or if it's any reimbursements that you may be getting from your employer or from your medical expense accounts. So I always like to have these things outlined to show me what is being carried forward from my last budget outline, adding in my new paycheck, and then adding in any additional information or any other sources of income that may potentially be coming in. So now that we're down at this part, automatically I have my tithes set up to come out. I'm a natural giver, so I have my tithes and my offering, all of that lumped into one. I'm a person of wanting to always give above and beyond. So my tithing isn't limited to just 10% or whatever the case may be. I always extend myself and try to go a little bit above and beyond that. Another thing that's important for me is to always make sure that I am paying myself. So with my pay myself column, I actually have this set up on autopilot. So the net pay that I get each and every time I'm paid is actually only 28% of my income. So with me paying myself, 72% of my income goes to paying myself, goes to investing, goes to installment debt, and it goes to paying taxes. So everything else that's remaining is what I actually live off of. So normally what I do is if there is any excess or any high rollover, then I'll add this amount into the pay myself column as an additional means to pay myself. But what we're going to do is go ahead and select the options based on what I showed you from my full listing of what actually needs to be paid out of this check. I need to set aside my grocery money. I normally set aside $175 for the first week and then $125 for the second week. And the due date on that will be tomorrow's date. And then this one will be the following week. And now, so we're just going to be hopping back and forth and going a little bit between those so that I can see exactly what needs to be paid. So this is my protection one. This needs to be paid by this date, this amount. I already know them because the amounts don't change. And then I'm just going to go through and populate each of these, drop each of these descriptions inside of my budget outline. So watch me work. So let me explain this right here. So some of these I'm putting in estimates in terms of what I think it should be. And if there's any excess, I'll carry that over into the next paycheck, or I'll adjust it based. And then once I actually make the payments or the actual gas charges begin to come in, I'll go back in and I'll update this to put in the actual. Okay, so now I have all of my expenses populated on my list in terms of what needs to come out. So once I go here, I'm making sure that everything that's supposed to come out of this has already been accounted for. This actually doesn't have to be paid right now at this point. This doesn't have to be paid right now at this point because I don't have a balance. So everything that I need to incorporate into my budget has already been included. So we're good there. Now I want to make sure that I go back and filter for everything that's included for both to make sure that that's included. So I want to go ahead and pop in my lawn service and spa massage so that I can incorporate my household expenses as well as self-care into this process as well. Okay, so I think I have everything populated. Like I said, everything that's highlighted in yellow are estimates. And so once those actual expenses post, that is when I will go back to my budget outline, update it with the actual numbers so that I can see what my true carryover number is. So once you've populated all of your expenses, now you want to look to see, okay, am I positive or am I negative? So as you can see, based on my estimates, I am in the negative. So I need to go back and adjust to figure out, okay, what have I not included, or what income did I not consider that I know I should be getting that hasn't been incorporated into this file. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and populate my rewards. So I always make sure that I charge on my credit card so that I'm able to get the rewards points. So any household expenses, utilities, things of that nature, I had that automatically set to charge my card. Even though I've already allocated those amounts in my budget, I'm able to get the free rewards points because it's a charge that I'm going to incur anyway. So why not just get the free money by having the stuff charged on your credit card that's going to give you some rewards and you'll be able to get some money. So let's log into my credit card account, see how much I have as rewards so that I can redeem them and add that amount to my budget. All right, so now the rewards points have been added. Again, I'm not going to highlight and cross this off just yet because I'm still waiting for it to actually post and hit my account. So as soon as the rewards has been redeemed and the deposit has processed and posted to my account, then I'll come in and I will check this box off. So even though I've added in the $47.37, I'm still off by $217. So what other income am I expecting? Another source of income that I know I'm expecting is an FSA reimbursement. So I did have a medical appointment last week, and I had to pay out of pocket. And so I know that the cost that I incurred or what I paid out of pocket, I will be getting reimbursed for that. So with that, I'm going to add in that reimbursement amount that's expected to come because I know that it will hit sometime this month. So as long as the deposit hits before the rest of my transactions post, we'll be good to go. So I'll go ahead and put in that FSA amount. And again, this is pending. So until I know the actual deposit date, I'll update this date and then cross it off. So now that my numbers have been updated, I should now be in a positive. Whoop, 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 whoop. So I am good to go in this case. And I know that based on these, and this is another thing too, you guys. So this is all related to timing. So even though I have a lot of these expenses populated in here, by the time they actually hit the account or by the time they actually post, I will have already received another check. So I won't necessarily be in the negative if I don't get this FSA reimbursement in time, because I know that by the time I get my next paycheck, these dates of when these things will need to be paid or are automatically auto drafted. it will still be okay. And then plus, most of these hit my credit card anyway. So it's not like it's going to pull directly from my account. It's going to charge my credit card at that point in time. And then I just know that I'll go back to the previous month's budget to say, okay, what additional payment do I need to now pay on my credit card as a result of what I had already allocated in my budget. So I position it in a way where it will minimize my chances or minimize my risk of potentially going into the negative by leveraging the use of putting recurring charges on my credit card for household expenses, for recurring essential expenses that I know has to be paid each and every month. So just put it on a credit card and I won't have to worry about the timing differences of when things post or when things may be drafted from my account. And I can save myself from the headache by having it hit my credit card, still allocate that amount in my budget, and then make the payment on the credit card later. All right. So now that I have this, I know that I have $135 that can now be available. Now, one of the things I always like to share is that just because you have an amount available does not mean that that means that you can go and spend this $135, because what you may need to do is roll this $135 over towards the next set of expenses for you to pay on the second half. So my second half expenses are color coded in purple. And so I have to make sure that everything that I'm going to have to pay out of my next check, that I'm going to have enough to cover it. So I'm a planner by nature. I've already estimated what needs to come out, and I know that I'll be in a surplus. So if I wanted to, I could take this $135 and add it to the pay myself bucket, which I'm going to do here as an example. So 135 will go here as a pay yourself bucket, and 59 cents will now roll over into the amounts that I'm going to be getting as my carry forward balance for the next budget outline that I create 2 weeks from today. So that is pretty much all that I do to populate my budgets. My only thing that I want to encourage you to do is, if you go through your budget and you take your income and you subtract all of your expenses for that particular paycheck period and you're in the negative, you have to figure out a way to find the resources to either get some additional income in the door or see how you can cut some of your expenses or levy some of your expenses or move some of your expenses over so that they can be paid at a later date. So you have to be thinking, you have to be planning, you really have to get into the groove of, okay, what can I do differently around my finances? What expenses am I incurring that I really don't necessarily need at this time? And how can I go make some more money, right? Again, I'm not saying that you should be a money chaser, a money hunger, and all of those kinds of things, but I'm saying that you need to have that desire in you to be able to maintain and sustain your own responsibilities that you've put yourself on the line for. So don't expect for anyone to always come in and bail you out. So again, I'm not saying that you need to be out here money hungry and chasing money and things of that nature, but I do want you to be more conscious and more mindful around your behaviors around your money. One of the things that I learned while going through this process, I forced myself to live off of 28% of my income. And the reason why I do that is because I've set my standards and I've set my limits on what it is that I need to make sure that I am paying myself first consistently with, and then what are some things that I need to make sure are being paid as it relates to my actual credit report, the loans and the documents that I've signed and obliged myself to repaying. So I always make sure that I'm putting myself and I'm putting God at the top of my order. So my order for paying my bills or my order for utilizing my money is I pay God, I pay me, and then I pay everyone else. And that looks like me paying my tithes and giving to charity. That looks like me paying myself by building my reserve, building my retirement fund. And not only that, putting some money aside for self-care, because that is something that I need, especially as being a caregiver. It can be tough, y'all. It can be tough. So I'm learning to set aside some time and set aside some money to care for me, to have self-care practices in place that can allow me to release. And so that's a part of me paying me. And then the last bucket is everybody else. Everybody else will get what is left over. period. So the 28% of income that I live off of, as you can see, I had expenses in there related to my mom. So I'm constantly paying on my recurring household bills. I'm paying on my mom's bills, caregiving for her. I'm paying for my utilities out of my 28% of my income. And not only that, I'm also giving to charity out of the 28% of my income. Come on, somebody. So when I tell you, when you prioritize giving and you prioritize giving your first fruits, I'm telling you, you will be surprised at how you can make a way. Sometimes I feel like, how in the world am I able to do all of this? I never even thought that I could live off of 28% of my income, but I'm here to show you that it's possible. I'm here to show you that I'm doing it, and I'm here to show you that you can do it too. Just decide to do it and get yourself on the groove and the rhythm of looking at your numbers each and every week. This will help you with not missing any payments. This will help you with your strategy to figure out, okay, how much more money do I need and how am I going to get it? This is why you have to make sure that you're looking at your numbers each and every week. Don't wait until the ending of the month. You have to be looking at this thing every week. So every week, this is my process. This is what I do. So I'm glad that I was able to take you behind the scenes. So if you've made it this far, drop in the comments, my financial prosperity awaits me. And also let me know if you want a copy of my budget outline in Excel form so that I can shoot it over to you just for a small fee. Go ahead and email ask@sophiamelone.com and say, I want the budget outline, Sophia. And I will tell you exactly how you can get it, where you can get it from, and give you a training and tutorial as well on how to use it. All right, so until the next lesson, let's go. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.